How does a story get so big, so vast, that people say it contains every other story ever told? Well, the Mahabharata is one of the longest epic poems in the world, for sure. But its creation is an amazing story all on its own. A tale of lost wisdom, a divine partnership, and a narrative that, believe it or not, is still being written today. So let's dive into how this timeless tale was actually made. This quote, this really gets to the very heart of the Mahabharata, doesn't it? It's not just a story, it's a vehicle for truth, a myth so huge that no single person can ever see the whole thing. And as we're about to find out, the story of how it was created is just as deep. Okay, so to understand why the Mahabharata was even created, we first have to travel back to the world that came before it. It was a world guided by a totally different kind of wisdom and a cataclysmic event that nearly erased it from existence. See, in this ancient world, meaning didn't come from stories as we know them. It came from the Veda. These weren't tales of heroes and villains. They were sacred chants, these divine whispers that gave structure to society and purpose to life itself. They were the ultimate source of knowledge, of everything. Now imagine that entire foundation of knowledge just gone. The source material puts it so chillingly, the lifeblood of their civilization, the river Saraswati, it just dried up. And when it did, the world that depended on the Veda, it started to crumble. And we're not talking about a short, dry spell here. This was a terrible 14-year drought. Society fell apart, people scattered just to survive, and the Veda, that whole intricate web of wisdom, was all but forgotten. So out of this cultural amnesia, a new idea starts to form. The goal wasn't just to piece together the old chants, which were super complex and hard to remember anyway. The idea was to create something totally new, a story. A story could carry that lost wisdom to everyone, embedding truth in characters and conflicts that were human, relatable, and most importantly, unforgettable. And a task this huge, it was going to require a divine partnership. So you have the sage Vyasa, who had painstakingly gathered what was left of the Vedas. He felt this inexplicable urge, as they say, to weave its truths into a narrative. And to help him, the gods sent Ganesha, the remover of obstacles, to be his scribe. Their partnership kicked off with this absolutely brilliant agreement. Ganesha said, okay, all right, but you have to narrate continuously without a single pause. This would ensure a pure, uninterrupted flow of inspiration. But Vyasa, he came back with a crucial condition of his own. Ganesha could only write down what he, a god, truly understood. This pact was genius. It guaranteed the story would be both divinely inspired and divinely coherent. Now this is what's so cool. From the very first moment, this story was never meant to be some static text locked away in a book. Nope, it was a living narrative, designed to be passed down through a chain of storytellers, starting with its very first simple version, which was called Jaya. And this chain of who told who is just wild to follow. So Vyasa first tells it to his students. Then one of them, Vaisampaya, recites it to a king. A court bard overhears it and passes it to his son, who then tells it to a bunch of sages in a forest. The story just flowed from master to student, from royalty to commoners, and sometimes the storytellers weren't even human. Yeah, you heard that right. Probably the most incredible link in this whole chain involves 4 birds. They became essential narrators of the epic, all because they had a totally unique, protected viewpoint, right from the middle of a massive battle. So get this, during the Great War, the bird's mother is shot down, but her eggs land safely on the battlefield. Then a giant bell from a fallen war elephant lands right on top of them, shielding them for the entire 18-day battle. Having heard everything from inside their shell, they hatch with this insane amount of knowledge. Sages grant them the gift of speech, and they go on to share perspectives and stories that no human could have possibly known. So all this retelling, all these different voices, it meant the story didn't just get passed on, it grew. Every time it was told, new tales were added, new layers of meaning were uncovered. The source material puts it beautifully. The story grew from a tiny sapling into a vast tree. And you can actually track this evolution just by looking at how its name changed over time. It started as Jaya, a pretty simple tale of victory. As it expanded, it became Vijaya and then Bharata, the story of a specific family and their land. And finally, as it absorbed the knowledge of an entire civilization, it became the Mahabharata, the great story of India. So what exactly got added to make it so great? Well, pretty much everything.
It became this massive encyclopedia of ancient life, stuffed with genealogy, geography, politics, philosophy. They even tacked on a whole separate text about the life of Krishna as an appendix. The whole shebang.
All of this continuous addition resulted in the epic we know today, a colossal work of over 100,000 verses. I mean, just let that number sink in. That makes it one of the longest epic poems ever written, by a landslide. And here's the kicker. This process of growth, it never really stopped. The Mahabharata isn't some finished monument sitting in the past. It's a living, breathing story that continues to evolve and find new meaning even today. And you can see its living legacy absolutely everywhere. Dancers and singers all across Asia retell it. Different regional versions in India have added entirely new characters and subplots. And today, modern writers and filmmakers use its timeless conflicts to explore contemporary issues, everything from feminism to the morality of war. This whole ever-expanding nature really makes you rethink what its name even means. Is it just the great epic of India? Or, as some scholars argue, does it actually mean the tale of the greatness of India? A story so comprehensive that it contains literally everything that has shaped its people. So the story began as a way to save lost wisdom. It was passed down through a chain of mortals, gods, and even birds. And it grew into a mirror reflecting an entire civilization. As it continues to be told and reinterpreted, that leaves us with one final fascinating question to think about. What's its next chapter going to be?